Good morning, members. It is now 9 o'clock. Time is up. We have just formed a quorum. So I would say that I call to order the meeting of the Bills Committee. First of all, for the first item, we want to meet with the deputations as well as the administration. So at this juncture, I would like to ask the Secretariat to invite the deputations and the individuals to come into the conference room. Good morning. For public officers who are in attendance, we have Mr. Lau Kong-hwa, Under Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs, Ms. Annie Tang, Principal Assistant Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs, as well as Ms. Emma Wong, Senior Government Counsel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Bills Committee on District Council's Amendment Bill 2013. Today we hold a public hearing. Let me extend our welcome to you once again. Please note that when you speak, you see that there is a microphone as well as a earpiece before you. For the earpiece, if you want to tune in for the floor, channel 0, channel 1 for Cantonese, and channel 2 for the English channel. I'm going to follow the order which has been made known to you to call upon you to speak. Each of you may speak for no more than 3 minutes. When your time is up, I'll remind you to stop. For individuals and deputations calling attendance today, when you express your opinions in this chamber, you are not covered by the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance. You don't enjoy the exemption or protection therein. This applies to the submissions that you give to us. Again, that won't be covered by the protection and safeguards under that particular ordinance. So when you speak, please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. First of all, I give the floor to Mr. AU Nok-hin, member of the Southern District Council. Mr. AU, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Lau, Under Secretary, we are meeting again. For this amendment bill, I would like to raise 4 questions for the administration. First of all, for the abolition of appointed seats, we support. In addition, we understand that there are lots of problems that have to be reviewed as far as district councils are concerned. First of all, the powers and functions of district councils as a whole. I understand that towards the end of this year, the administration intends to hold a summit to review the administrative structure. I just wonder if this can be considered. That is, the powers used to be enjoyed by the former municipal services councils, like management of markets, liquor licensing, and others, to be used as the basis or as an example to see if similar powers should be delegated to the district councils. I believe that district councils should be given more powers because we are talking about governance. And when it comes to administration, it means that we should be sharing powers with the people. Secondly, while you abolish the appointed seats, would you also consider removing the co-opted members from the district councils? In the course of decision making, I don't think that the co-opted members can really help us in a meaningful way. They don't have a vote. I mean, they have a vote at the meetings, but they haven't got the mandate from the voters, so they should not be retained. And then recently, I read a news report in Kwok-him, certain DAB officers and their officers are operating in such a way that there is this Ms. Tang Shui-hwa, who is a member of the DC. Posters have been put up to say that light bulbs can be replaced. Now you're using the resources of appointed members and you are making use of public resources. So taxpayers' monies is being used to support the electioneering of a DAB member. Now, the two gentlemen here are DAB members. I think it is problematic to use public resources in this way. In overseas countries, legislation is in existence to say that if you run for a seat, before that, you have to make sure that you haven't been using public resources to facilitate your electioneering. In this way, we can prevent such problems from arising. You are going to abolish the appointed seats, but what about the use of resources by appointed members during this term? Thank you. Next, Mr. Hon Chun-in from the Civic Party. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Under Secretary. On behalf of the Civic Party, I would like to speak to the District Council's Amendment Bill 2013. The District Council is an elected organ, but then appointed seats mean that it goes against the democratic principles. The appointed seats were scrapped in 1994, and then in 1997, the appointed seats were revived. All along, public opinion is clear about the appointed seats. In 1999-03, and the subsequent elections, the administration has exercised the power to appoint DC members. It shows that the government is going against public opinion. Now, eventually, the government has come up with the Amendment Bill 2013 to legislate for the abolition of the appointed seats. We support it, but then the administration had this poor track record of reviving the appointed seats. So I have to warn the administration sternly, under no circumstances can you revive the appointed seats for the district councils. Moreover, as far as the constitution of the membership, other than abolishing the appointed seats, which is but the first step in improving the DCs, we can see that within the DC structure, we have also got other structural problems. Say, for example, the district councils do not have the responsibilities for local governance. I just wonder if you can give more powers to the district councils in relation to municipal services, for example. Now, the district council constituency areas are too small. I think you should reform the structure. We should also have a mixed system, say on the basis of smaller constituencies. You can have SNTV, or you can have a larger administration district so as to return elected members. In this way, you can enhance the credibility of the district councils as a whole. And you haven't talked about the boundaries, electoral methods, as well as the number of district councils. The Civic Party is of the view that the system has been in place for a long time. It is opportune time for the administration to review the methods of election for the formation of DCs. Thank you. Next, Mr. Choi Yu-cheng from the Democratic Party. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, I've got 4 points to make. The appointment system, I think everybody is clear. It should have been scrapped a long time. It was scrapped in the past. It was not just revived in 1999. In fact, in 1997, when Hong Kong was returned to China, when the Special Administrative Region was set up, the provisional DBs were set up. other than those members who have been elected in 1994 were elected, another 100 members were elected. So the revival of the appointment system took place first in 1997. It's bad as part of the handover. Now, we have been talking about the scrapping of the appointed seats for almost 20 years. It is good to scrap the appointed seats, but once again, the Democratic Party would like to say that for the government to insist on keeping the appointed seats, we find it regrettable. Next, I would like to talk about another point. Now, if you would only abolish the appointment system, then it is being lazy on the part of the administration. For the DC system, we know the problems for long, and we have already a consensus. I want to talk about 3 points. First of all, the ex officio seats should also be abolished. Currently, for the ex officio seats, village representatives are elected to head the rural committees. Yes, they may be elected, but then there's overlapping. Now, there may be a person living in a village. He may be an indigenous villager or he may not. But it means that directly and indirectly he is entitled to electing 2 members to represent him. And then for the Islands District Council, it is even more awkward to find that appointed members or ex officio members together almost outnumber the elected members. The third point, now for the electoral system of the DCs, I think there are many areas that should be looked into. And in some districts, I think like the Wan Chai District Council, it is very small in size, only 18 members. You run the risk of not having 10 members at a meeting. While we consider scrapping the appointed seats, we should also consider certain reform measures. Say, for example, we should have a PR system to return another group of members so that we have a member returned by single seat, single vote system, as well as members returned by the PR system. In this way, we can be more representative. And then there's a last point. If you want to carry out a review about the seats, you should also talk about the powers and functions as well as the delegation of powers. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chen Chung Yao. We have been talking about the abolition for a long time. It is only now that we see it being implemented. Now the DAB has been saying that the super DCCs are representative, but then in our DCs today, we still have appointed seats. A question for the DAB. If you always say that the super DC seats or members are representative, can you justify that? Next, Mr. Kwok-him. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Abolishing the appointed seats, it is something legitimate, and yet the representative of that constituency doesn't have much to say.
In the past 20-odd years, you go round, and we're now back to square one. It's really regrettable. Now we're talking about the 3 elections that are upcoming. The 2017 CE election, how many electoral members will be in the nomination committee and how many will be district councillors? None. The power of the election committee should belong to the people, but we know nothing. For the 2016 LegCo election, are all the super district council seats to go altogether? Or are we going to have single seat, single vote system for the LegCo election so that we can be put on a par with international practices? We're talking about fair electoral arrangements. You must not turn 5 districts into 6 districts. Otherwise, we'll be farther away from universal suffrage. We must enlarge the electorate and enhance recognition. Then we're heading towards universal suffrage. we're just 2 years from the next district council election. How should we go about it? What methods are to be used? We don't know. Should we have a huge surgery to reform the whole district council system? In a democratic system, we should not allow some people to vote, so the ex-official seats should go. Well, the district councils are advisory establishments only, theoretically. But we made no progress even on such advisory establishments, so the government should feel shameful. One person said that all district councillors should be returned by universal suffrage. But at present, we don't have universal suffrage either in quantity or in quality. We only have geographical elections. If the 420 district councillors are to be returned by the whole of Hong Kong, then we can call it universal suffrage. In the past few years, opinion in and out of LegCo are not difficult. There are 2 crucial points. First of all, whether the government is willing to do it, and secondly, whether the DAB is willing to weaken its own powers. Next, Mr. Tung. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All along, appointed district councillors have contributed to society. We should recognize that. Those appointed had rich social experience as well as professional qualifications. Those appointed had to have good conduct, professional competence, and a good record of public office before being appointed. From our records, appointed district councillors have been using their professional knowledge to build our society and contribute to society. Appointed district councillors can complement the deficiencies of elected district councillors. However, political systems are evolving and public demands are enhancing. We must study in depth community demands as well as funds for local communities. Therefore, the demand for appointed district councillors has dropped. A third of the appointed seats have gone, and the CE plan to, starting from the 1st of January 2016, abolish the remaining 168 district appointed seats. We support that. However, we have to point out, after fully adopting universal suffrage for district councils, those with knowledge and competence may not be able to enter district councils. So we have to pay attention to the functions and roles of the DCs and find a way out. One method is to, after electing district councillors, enlarge the number of seats just to encourage more people to stand for election. Finally, we support the retention of ex-official seats. Rural Committee chairmen filled those seats. They're elected to a certain extent with public opinion as a foundation, and their roles in the rural areas can reflect the opinion of rural residents and contribute greatly to society. Thank you, Mr. Tung. Next, Mr. Chan Kwok-him. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members. And nowadays, district councillors help build society and play roles in traffic and transport, people's livelihood, etc. For so many years, district councils have contributed to society by providing a wide range of services to the public, and is also a main avenue for reflecting public opinion. Therefore, the government is also very concerned about the development of district councils. At the moment, we rely heavily on those with experience in this regard. Those who were appointed had good conduct and competence as well as moral standards, professional qualifications as well as good record of public offices. According to our records, their professional knowledge, experience and competency have complemented the inadequacies of elected district councillors and provided good opinion to the community. We have one country, two systems, and a high degree of autonomy for the people of Hong Kong. our political system is maturing. The CE said that each district should resolve its own problems, and in future there will be separate fundings for each and every district. The mandate and power of district councils will be enhanced in future. District councillors need to possess other qualifications so as to serve local communities very closely, and they should use district councils as a training ground to gain rich experience. They got the trust and support of the public. Now, a third of the appointed seats have already gone, and in the next DC election, the remaining 68 appointed seats will also go. So I support that direction, which will help establish a positive image for the SARG. At the same time, how are we going to allow those who cannot enter district councils to support the functions of the government and district councils? So we need to make use of the professionals, communicate with them so that they can take the initiative to stand for election. All successful governments have to solicit support and assistance from professionals. So we must identify those professionals who have the time and effort to contribute to society to stand for election. Next, Mr. Yang Hong-min from DAB. Mr. Chairman, I'm the Deputy Spokesman on Constitutional Affairs of the DAB. I'm Yang Hong-min. On behalf of the DAB, I'd like to state the position of the DAB in terms of the appointed district councillors. At the beginning of the appointment system, we got more appointed district councillors than elected district councillors in a district council. Now there is this demand for a full abolition of appointed seats. We agree to that. As some participants here pointed out just now, in each district we have the ward officers of district councillors who provide very important advice to the government. So we have to pay attention to that. In the past, when the government appointed district councillors, it gave regard to the overall demand of society, the professional conduct and qualifications of the appointed district councillors, so as to make the work of the district councils more perfect, and councillors can play their potential to the full. District councillors who were appointed in the past possessed relevant professional qualifications and offer their professional advice. Of course, there were different views about appointed seats. Only 68 appointed seats have remained, and in the upcoming district council election, the remaining 68 appointed seats will also be abolished. We support the abolition of appointed seats given our time schedule for universal suffrage. At the same time, after abolishing the appointed seats, we'll have to pay attention to whether or not the operation of district councils will be affected as a result of the abolition of appointed seats. So, when the district council seats for the 5th district council election is reviewed, we would like to change the appointed seats to elected seats so that district councillors from all districts can serve the community better and provide more invaluable advice to the government. Thank you. Next, Mr. Kwok-him from New Democrats. Mr. Koo? Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the New Democrats, I would like to say that I support the abolition of appointed seats. The reason is simple. There's no public mandate for the appointed district councillors. District councils are advisory establishments. We need district councillors who can represent public opinion. So, appointed district councillors will affect that norm. The other aspect is the ex-officio seats. Well, these ex-officio seats are filled by the Rural Committee chairman. A rural committee is also a constituency. For example, Pun Chung village in Tai Po, together with the housing estates nearby, come under the same constituency. At the same time, in the Islands District Council, the number of appointed district councillors plus ex-officio councillors outnumber the remaining district councillors. So sometimes in a discussion, ex-officio district councillors and appointed district councillors may change their position such that the interest and opinion of the other members of the electorate might be affected. But of course, for the ex-officio seats, as mentioned just now, duplicate the functions of the remaining district councillors. Take, for example, the Islands District Council. It covers a lot of outlying islands. It's a constituency in itself. And at the same time, if the ex-officio district councillor also represents local interests, that means that particular district councillor will be holding 2 votes. Rural committees are already represented by Hung Yi Cook, so to a certain extent, they have a competitive edge over rural or urban residents. Of course, ex-officio seats and appointed seats should be abolished and abolished immediately. Thank you, Mr. Koo. We've heard 9 deputations and individuals who have expressed their views. Under Secretary, would you like to say something first? All right, then I'll see whether or not members have any views or questions to share with us after listening to the deputations and individuals. Ms. Sito, 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, the proposed amendment this time is very simple, is to abolish the appointed seats. I'd like to thank the deputations and individuals for pointing out that just by abolishing the appointed seats, we won't be able to totally resolve the deficiencies of the existing district council system. Yes, there are a lot of facilities in local communities, including unpopular facilities. However, if the constituencies become smaller and smaller in size, it will be very difficult to obtain sufficient support from local residents.
Sometimes clinics as well as homes for the chronically ill, usually they will be met with opposition from the locals. We have had this experience. It is a sort of not in my backyard syndrome. I don't think we should encourage this, but this will be encouraged if the constituency areas are to be made smaller. It's better to have a PR system so that popular and unpopular facilities will be taken care of by the political party who has the majority of the votes. So they will act like the ruling party. and we have to make sure that the public understand that unpopular facilities, when properly operated, are necessary and should be accommodated. If a party doesn't run the place well, then it will be voted out of office, and this will make district administration smoother. Just now someone said that other than the PR, there will be a single seat, single vote system. But we do take on board our view, how many seats are we talking about? We still have 430 DC members after abolishing the appointed seats. So what is the idea you have in mind, Mr. Choi? For the DP, for us, we feel that for the first stage, perhaps we should replace the appointed seats that are scrapped by members who are elected on a PR system. In the long term, I think district councils should be made up of members from two categories. First, PR, second, single seat, single vote system. In fact, for district councils other than local powers, I think district councils should also have a broader view. But of course, we can't make a radical change to move over to a PR system. In Wan Chai, we've only got 11 members. So I think we should increase the number of seats. But I'm not in agreement with the DAB. We shouldn't make the constituency area smaller. We should introduce PR to increase the number of DC members. Mr. Ao, when we talk about reforming the electoral systems, we need to resolve one problem. How are we going to distribute the seats? We have over 400 DC members. If you want to enlarge the constituencies areas, it means that there will be a fewer number of seats. DC members would oppose because you are taking away their constituencies. So you need to allow them to step down gracefully. So at least we should maintain the same number of DC seats. For those who suffer from a smaller number of DC seats, maybe they should be given the PR system. And I think the number of seats can be sort of swapped between districts. In this way, it will be facilitating the reforms. Mr. Kwok, you would like to say something, but then I think the member was asking the DP. It doesn't matter if I still have time left. Mr. Kwok, please. I think the DP came up with a similar idea about a year ago. This is known to us, but then a reservation. I would rather redraw the boundaries. For the 18 district councils, they should be changed into, say, 27 or 30, so that we have the PR system in each district to return the DC members. About a year ago, we have already come up with a broad framework. But then at that time, we were waiting for news as to who's the undersecretary, who's the secretary. Now we have the undersecretary. We have Mr. Lau as the undersecretary. So the question is whether they're willing to give up their own interests. Mr. Chung Shu-ken. I have a question for the deputations. In the past, for the PR system, I think many people were strongly against it, saying that it is undemocratic, saying that it could not be truly representative of public opinion. It will be distorting. Now, for small district councils, you want to have universal suffrage, you want to have PR systems. I think you are making it overly complicated. District councils have got decades of experience. I've been a DC member for over 20 years. I think the problem isn't so much about the electoral method. Of course, I agree that it is time to abolish the appointed seats. However, I think we should go for simplicity. District councils are unlike the legislative council. Facilities at the local level, reflecting public opinion, representing the local people, in the nature of the district councils. I think the views expressed are quite narrow in the scope. First of all, there are some structural defects. you only set your eyes on your own district. CY Leung earlier on said that we should try to address the problem by looking across the districts. In the past, the Urban Council will take into account a number of district councils. They were elected on the PR system. To me, in every district council, you have a T&T committee looking after transport matters. Can we not set up a territory-wide committee on transport and traffic matters comprising of representatives from the 18 district councils so that they become aware of the problems and limitations encountered by other districts? And then when it is their turn to meet with something similar, they are more informed. Otherwise, you will always be having a very narrow vision. And you will always have the NIMBY syndrome. You would not have an unpopular district facility in your district. You always want it to be shifted next door. The same is true for environmental hygiene. Like the Urban Council, you have an umbrella committee. In this way, you enhance the powers and functions of the district council members. In other words, he won't just be addressing his own district council. He can also have exchange of experience when he does attend a meeting of the sort of something like regional committee. And they can also benefit his own district council by sharing the experience at the broader committee. Even if you make the electoral system complicated, like introducing PR, they are still having a narrow vision. Secretariat support. There isn't sufficient secretariat support. Even if you want to have a further committee, you'll be told that you haven't got sufficient manpower. With this experience that some district councils had to deploy their own resources to get somebody to prepare the minutes. This is most absurd, and I hope that the Bureau and the Undersecretary to look at this problem. I think we should go for simplicity rather than complexity. Yes, maybe 3 members would like to speak. I don't quite understand the question, but I'll try my best to answer the question. I don't understand. This is because we're supposed to take care of the district affairs, and yet Mr. Chung is saying that PR is not good. The PR system is to make sure that we can take into account the interests of the entire district. So perhaps we should study more about the ideas and the philosophy behind the proportional representative system. What about the relationship between the Legislative Council and the Executive? Now, for district councils, our problem is that we may have a lot of suggestions. It is up to the public transport operators to take on board our views or not. I think Mr. Chung is being self-contradictory. He also admits that district council members have narrow vision. It is because the constituencies are very small. In 1995, when we talk about the single seat, single vote system, 20 seats, and then we were talking about hundreds of thousands of people in a constituency. Now, in district councils, the constituency areas have only got a few thousand members. I think the district council members should not just be looking after local interests, and therefore we need to reform the electoral system. Mr. Leung, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When it comes to the abolition of appointed seats, it seems that many other issues are brought into the debate. It means that for the functions of district councils, the demarcation of the constituencies, as well as the electoral systems, are all attracting a lot of different opinions. In July, there will be a summit. I think that will be the best place to lay out the arguments. Just now, someone talked about the functions of district councils. I agree that we should reform the functions of the district councils. That's much better than changing the electoral methods or the demarcation of the constituencies. There was a member who rightly pointed out that when you redraw the boundaries, there will be impacts on certain people and you will meet with resistance. It will make it very difficult. We're having 18,000 people in a constituency. How are you going to redraw the boundary, making it a place with 30,000 people? So I don't think it is the right time to talk about reforms in the electoral methods or the boundaries. During the last term, there were already some improvements to the functions and powers of district councils, like certain LCSD facilities and the management of them, and some minor works. It shows that we allow the district councils to take part in district management. Some have suggested that perhaps the functions of the FHD, similar to the powers enjoyed by the municipal services councils, like in the form of street cleansing, be given to the district councils. I think if you give such functions to the district councils, then I'm sure the district councils will be broader in its vision. They won't just set their eyes on their own streets or the matters in their own constituents. In their own constituencies. Unless with such reforms, we cannot go further to talk about other things, and it is more effective, more meaningful. So I support the administration in the sense that CY Leung has said that district issues should be resolved at the district level. It is exactly where the district councils can play a role. So perhaps the administration should give us a timetable telling us as to when the functions and powers of the district councils will be reviewed. Any reply from the Undersecretary? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank the attendees for giving us so many favorable comments for the review of the functions and powers of the DCs. You have given us many good suggestions. At the seminar last time, as well as at this meeting, you have talked about a number of aspects. First of all, post-abolition of appointed seats, should there be a change in the functions and powers? Should there be more functions and powers? I think on one occasion, a member has made this point, and I understand that the Constitutional Affairs Panel would follow this up further. So I expect there will be a discussion, and I hope that the attendees today will continue to benefit us with their input. Now, after the appointed seats have been abolished, you may think that some district councils may have fewer members while others have more, as to whether we want to redraw the boundaries and whether we are going to change the electoral methods. At the towards the end of this year, we are going to look at the population quota as well as the number of seats. There will be a full consultation.
By then, LegCo members as well as the public can offer their invaluable advice to us. So you should get prepared for that. As for the other comments from the deputations and individuals, for example, whether or not co-opted seats should also be abolished, or whether or not appointed district councillors should be prohibited from standing for election for the elected seats. Well, we do not have that intention because co-opted members can complement the deficiencies of the other members of the district councils. And at the moment, there's no prohibition for any district councillors to stand for district council elections. in the next stage, all appointed seats will be abolished. Nevertheless, in the past, appointed district councillors contributed a great deal to our society, and we should recognize their contribution. I think we're only talking about a change in the electoral system rather than disregarding the contribution of the appointed district councillors. Your views will serve as references for us in future. Dr. Priscilla Leung, are you going to exchange views with the deputations and individuals, or ask the Undersecretary questions? Well, because I would like to end this item. Well, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I thought that we still have a great deal of time. Oh, yes, we still have a great deal of time after this item. Well, maybe some deputations will respond to my comments. District councillors are closely related to the public. In the past, LegCo was also closely related to district councillors, and we addressed different concerns. Just now, Mr. Choi Yu-chung said that we should focus on parliamentary discussions. Oh, yes, of course, that is one requirement. At the same time, requirements placed on district councillors are different from those placed on LegCo members. Professor Patrick Lau always said in the past that he would like to have larger constituencies. As for the functions of the district councils, let me share with you my experience in Kowloon City District Council. Kowloon City District Council approved the allocation of $100 million to another facility that's not in Kowloon City. District councillors can gain the support of local residents. Under proportional representation, some people may want larger constituencies. Well, LegCo members may stand to benefit, but then district councils will become something similar to the LegCo, so that may not be an appropriate approach. Rather, I would suggest that after district councillors are elected, after they've joined the district council concerned, they should put the interest of the whole district first. Demarcation of constituencies may sound complicated to the general public. I participate in LegCo work as well as DC work. Whether it's single seat, single vote, or proportional representation, I believe single seat, single vote is very good. After the handover, we've got a good electoral system for LegCo elections and district council elections. So, huge changes may not benefit the public. Mr. Choi Yu-chung, be it district councillors or LegCo members, they have their respective work to do. LegCo members also do district work. You cannot say that LegCo members do not do district work. That's point number one. Point number two, the Democratic Party has all along advocated for a progressive approach. we should retain the single seat, single vote system. In the long run, do we need reforms? That will be for the long term. At the same time, we should bring in experiments. After the abolition of all the appointed seats, the size of the constituencies should no longer be narrowed down because some constituencies are already very small. I visited the United States. In the United States, throughout the whole state, the whole country, or various states, some councillors sit on both local constituencies as well as the Parliament or the Congress. And they consider that system not bad because local views have to be taken on board as well. So we need to reform our system. It's not a question of whether or not it will benefit certain political parties. Of course, we have to balance district work as well as a territory-wide vision. Mr. Kwok-him. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. District councils have different functions from the LegCo. As Mr. Choi Yu-chung said, district councillors should take into account the interest of other district councils as well, or neighboring district councils as well. So to a certain extent, I support proportional representation and big constituencies. Mr. Chan Kai-lok, Mr. Kenneth Chan, I'd like to thank the attending deputations and individuals. I'd like to listen to their views as well as those of the administration. Well, appointed seats are actually offering free political luncheons. Co-opted members, frankly speaking, also have the same characteristics. Well, if the Undersecretary opines that they can offer invaluable advice, they don't need to be offered seats. They can just voice their opinion. Well, if it is just pure discussion, it doesn't matter. But if votes are to be taken, then we need to review this portion of the district council system. We all understand that the proposed amendment is very narrow this time, is to abolish the remaining 68 appointed seats. I'm talking about the seats, not councillors. The seats offer free political luncheon. Now, what about the co-opted seats? 27 of them. How are the councillors, co-opted councillors, produced? It's not an open and transparent system. I can't even say that they're elected members. Some people doubt how they're elected. There are clear provisions to govern the return of elected district councillors. But what about these ex-official, I'm talking about ex-official seats, not co-opted seats? Well, the government spends $20 million per year on the ex-official seats, and functional constituencies are similar to them, and they represent rural interest only. So it's not just the electoral system and the demarcation system that we need to reform. For many years, people have pointed to the problems of these ex-official seats. Between the rural committees and district councils, how can we safeguard a healthy interactive relationship? I believe we should review that for district councils. I firmly believe that such ex officio seats should be abolished, and we should let people know what's happening. And the district council should have independent secretariats. The concerns of district councillors, we all understand a district councillor may be concerned about a street, but studies may have to be conducted. So if each DC can have an independent secretariat, it will be helpful to the DC concerned for fulfilling its functions. And now there's no independency because we have to rely on the district officers. Now, $100 million have been earmarked for each district council in this financial year. But many members of the public have doubts about how this $100 million is to be spent. Should there be DC discussions? If DCs are to seriously discuss how to expand their roles and functions, then how this $100 million can be used? I'd like to listen to the views of the deputations and individuals who represent the local interests. Well, I think you have digressed from the content of the consultation exercise. Let me give the floor to those who have not spoken yet. Mr. Tung. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know where Mr. Kenneth Chan lives. I hope that he can visit the New Territories, which has a population of over half of the overall population of Hong Kong. In Sha Tin alone, we have a population of over 600,000 people. The Sha Tin Rural Committee chairman were not returned by all Sha Tin residents, but in Sha Tin we have over 50 villages with a population of over 200,000 people. They cast their votes to elect an executive committee, which in turn returned the rural committee chairman. 5 minutes only. Thank you. As I said just now, whether it's directly or indirectly elected district councillors, rural committees do represent the local villages. Now, in the LegCo, we have functional constituencies. If professionals cannot speak up for the interest of their respective professions, it's not good. I think we have to respect the wish of the local villagers. So we should retain the ex officio seat for the rural committee chairman. Next.
Who else would like to speak? If not, then Mr. Lau. I think Mr. Ang may want to say something further. I think it's a matter of time. Well, just now we have heard what the deputations and the LegCo members have said. While we are talking about the abolition of the appointed seats, they have talked about whether there's room for further improvement, but then it covers quite a broad area. It is also a departure from the subject matter of this bill. So please be understanding, but I'm sure at future panel meetings at the summit to be held, and when we study the matter further, there will be other opportunities to visit those topics. Once again, let me thank the attendees for attending today's meeting. Thank you. Mr. Chair. Sorry, speaker is off mic. It seems my microphone is not working. Mr. Chairman, just a very simple question. In 1994, during the DC elections, at that time, on one go, all the appointed seats were abolished. but ex officio seats, and there were 27 of them, were retained. Why was it that under those circumstances, the ex officio seats were still kept? Do you know about the basis? What's the justification? Perhaps it can shed some light on our debate. That's why we scrap all the appointed seats, whether we should also remove the ex officio seats or not. I don't know whether any of you here have any experience in the 1994 elections. I just want to check whether other legislative members would like to speak, and otherwise I would like to draw a line. Mr. Au, I did not say that I'm well versed in that, but according to limited information available as to why at that time ex officio seats were not also abolished, this is because the rural powers were behind them. At that time, Hong Kong hasn't been returned to China. Our understanding is that the British Hong Kong government had some fear towards the rural influence. So probably at the time, if the ex officio seats were to be abolished, then the rural powers would be affected, and then it would trigger off quite a big problem. So probably that's the background. Thank you. Mr. Tung, I don't think we are talking about rural influence. They have the support of the villages. Villages would elect a village head, and then the village heads are elected to sit on the rural committees. So it's not a matter of who's being more powerful. Mr. Mr. Koo, well, we have the indigenous villages as well as the non-indigenous villages. So with the village head as well as the village representative, that's not the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter is why is it they have an additional DC member to represent them? Villages themselves have already got a DC member to represent them. Even if we have an additional DC member representing them, it means that we have two DC members representing them. Is doubling the effort. Mr. Kwok, in 1994, the ex-official members were kept. Is it because the British Hong Kong government did not have time to deal with that, because it was in the run-up to the handover? As to why some ex-official members have given us a poor impression, I think this is because they serve the local population in Cheung Chau or perhaps on Nam Ma, together with other types of DC members. There are 3 of them, and they serve less than 3,000 residents. This is most unfair. Well, in fact, I would like to note about what happened back then. It's not about whether we should abolish the seats now. Mr. Choi, well, at that time, the Democrats were also against the retention of the ex-official members. But of course, probably the 1997 was a factor. Probably the British Hong Kong government did not want to start a lot of debates. And then at that time, the rural committees were returned by the village heads, and only the indigenous villages could vote for the village head. Now, as a result of a legal action, non-indigenous villages could also vote for the rural committees. You may say that it is more democratic, but it means all the more that a village's interest has well been taken care of. Mr. Lau, between 1995 up to between 1985 and 1994 and up to now, the ex-official members have always been kept. the element of election is an important consideration. And we never have a consensus as to whether they should be kept. It's always been controversial. So in this bill, we're not going to deal with this issue. We'll only be addressing the problem of the appointed seats. For this particular topic, I'm sure we'll be discussing it in the future. I would like to thank the 9 deputations and individuals who have come to express your views concerning the bill. So thank you very much. You may now be excused. Next, we would continue with our own meeting. At our last meeting, we have already gone through the clauses. So basically, members have already spoken their mind in this regard. So, having heard the public views, members, do you have any other points to make? Ms. Sit Ho. Well, there was a question asked but not answered by the Undersecretary. I think it must be relevant. That is, what will happen to the $37 million after the seats have been abolished? Undersecretary, I don't think it is a matter of surplus. Without the appointed seats, the expenditure does not have to be incurred. So do you just keep it in the public coffers? In the future, the resources for the district councils as to whether the size will be increased or whether there would be other arrangements, it is not part of this bill, and I don't think it is within the remit of the CMAB. I think Ms. Ho's point is, for the $30 million or more, will it become part of your resources, or will the sum no longer exist? That's a simple question. Well, the Undersecretary used to be an electrical member until a short time ago. Now that you have changed your capacity, don't avoid the question, because when we scrutinize a bill, we also look at the financial implications. A lot has been said about the lack of manpower within the DC Secretariat. You're going to save $37 million. So I think this sum of money should be given to boost the Secretariat's support so that DCs can work better. My understanding is that this is not possible, but of course have to check with the government. With appointed seats, you have this sum. Without the appointed seats, you no longer have this sum. To me, personally speaking, the Secretariat's support should be enhanced so as to facilitate the operation of the DCs. Other than Mr. Changalo, I think many of us have been familiar with the operation of DCs from personal experience. So it is necessary to give more resources to the Secretariat. But as to whether the money should go directly, I think is a separate issue. I'm not saying that it should go directly to the Secretariat, but by not incurring additional resources, you can enhance the Secretariat's support. Mr. Chairman, the bill doesn't involve this point, and it is not within the remit of the CMAB. So perhaps the HAP can follow this up. I think that's more appropriate. Mr. Chairman, well, we are soon going to see preparation for the estimates for onward submission to the FS. So when you lobby the FS to give you the envelope, I think you need to include this as well. Undersecretary, we're here to talk about the abolition of the appointed seats of DCs. For the allocation of resources, it is beyond our bureau, but I believe that Ms. Ho's suggestion can be followed up at a meeting of the HAP. All right. Today we have had the public hearing. Do you have other questions regarding the bill? Mr. Chairman, there is one point that I want to say. Just one topic. Mr. Shan asked us to go back to check if there are other bills that would also refer to appointed DC members. We did go back and check, and we can confirm that there is no other reference. So, Mr. Shan, I hope we can set your mind at ease. Ms. Emily Lau, I don't know whether this has been mentioned. There is the ex officio seats. Yes, a lot has been said. So nothing can be done about it. If we want the DCs to be composed of directly elected members only, then it is impossible to keep the ex officio seats. I'm sorry if you have already addressed this point. You can give us a brief reply. Well, in fact, throughout our debate, it's always been raised. Mr. Lau, I can understand Ms. Lau's concern. Just now, the deputations also referred to this. Ex officio seats are different from appointed seats because there is an element of election. They are also rural representatives. In the future, as to how they will evolve, I think it can be considered further. But for this particular bill, it is indeed true that we are only abolishing the appointed seats. For the ex officio seats, for the demarcation of the boundaries as well as the electoral methods, a lot has been said a moment ago. I think the relevant panel can have a discussion. Mr. Chairman, whether we should have a larger constituency so that there won't be a fight between people from two neighboring streets. Yes, I think it is outside this bill, but I think this can be done. You are not going to do it here, but do you still have the plan to scrap it in the next term? For the ex officio seats, we don't have plan at this moment. As to the other point, the number of DC seat member or DC seats as well as the demarcation. Within this year, the Bureau will carry out a proper consultation, and then you have the opportunity to give us your suggestions. Well, for the first question, I think there are different views. For Ms. Emily Lau's point, do you want to have a district council which is elected fully on the basis of universal suffrage? Well, after abolishing the appointed seats, we have all elected members. But then we are talking about direct elections. I don't want to pay an argument with you concerning the chief executive. You gave a lot of outward arguments. Here we are talking about the DC. Even with the appointed seats being abolished, we still don't have a fully elected DC. You are almost the ruling party. So do you share this goal? I'm just talking about the first one. The first question, you talked about conflict of interest between neighboring streets. I've already mentioned the demarcation. I was simply trying to supplement. All right, any other questions? If not, then I just want to consult the administration. We've already completed the cross-wire cross-scrutiny. All the areas of concern have been raised. So administration, I think basically we've completed the scrutiny. So what is your plan? When are you going to resume the second reading debate? We intend to do so on the 15th of May. 15th of May then. All right, members, regarding the timing, that is 15th of May. Do you have any comments? If that is indeed to be the date and subject to members' agreement, that is, we'll resume the second reading debate on the 15th of May. Then on the 3rd of May, we need to give a report to the House Committee.
and the notice for the resumption debate will be the 6th of May. If any member would like to propose amendments, the deadline will be the 6th of May. So is that clear? If we are to have the second reading resumption debate on the 15th of May, the deadline for submitting amendments will be the 6th of May. Administration, any question? No? Then we have completed the scrutiny of the bill. Item 2 on the agenda, any other business? There's no other business. I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.